and welcome to this episode of Mindset Mentoring for Athletes, Families, and Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Coach Chuck. In this episode, we explore the journey of transformation with Mary Dibble, an award-winning life coach, founder of Mary Dibble Coaching LLC. Mary shares her personal story of overcoming addiction and adversity to become a beacon of hope and guidance for mothers striving to lead by example. Learn how Mary's life-changing strategies empower parents to cultivate resilience, self-love, and a thriving family environment. This episode is a must-listen for anyone looking to break free from the chains of their past and embrace a future filled with purpose and joy. So stay tuned for that.
According to the CDC in 2023, over 10 million teenagers reported experiencing persistent feelings of sadness and hopelessness. 10 million. And it's not just teenagers. Over 51 million adults struggle with mental health challenges every single year. Parents, this isn't just statistics. It's our children. It's us. And it's a wake-up call. But here's the thing. Knowledge and awareness is a first step to change. Yet the most important knowledge, the kind that can truly transform lives, is rarely taught. It's not about memorizing facts or getting perfect grades. It's about learning how to train your mindset. At the Unstoppable Mindset Masterclass, we'll teach you and your family how to take control, how to overcome limiting beliefs, tackle financial stress, and rise above the challenges that hold you back. You will gain tools to build unshakable confidence, foster resilience and grit to handle life's toughest moments, and turn habits into rituals that drive lasting change. Imagine the relief of watching your teenager face life with hope instead of hopelessness. Imagine equipping them and yourself with the mindset to not just survive, but thrive. Visit unstoppablemindsetmasterclass.com and register to take the first step towards your transformation.
Welcome to today's episode of our show, where we dive deep into the mental health crisis affecting teens and their families. I'm thrilled to introduce Mary Dibble, a life coach who has turned her own life's challenges into a powerful platform for change. As the founder of Mary Dibble Coaching LLC, an award-winning life purpose and goal success master life coach, Mary works with moms to ignite their full potential by embracing self-love, worth, and acceptance. Join us as Mary shares her inspiring journey and practical strategies to foster resilience and abundant mindsets in both parents and teens. So let's welcome Mary to the show. Welcome, and thank you for joining me.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, your story is compelling, and the work you do is, well, it's obviously after my heart, because we share the same sort of goals and all. So let's kind of begin with you kind of introducing yourself to the audience and talking a little bit about some of those, challenges you had as a young person and how that has shaped your journey and kind of gotten you to where you're at.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm Mary Dibble, and I am a wife, a mom of three, and a life coach, and I'm a host of Radiant Mom Rising podcast. Growing up, I grew up with a single mom, me and my sister. I had a lot of insecurities, a lot of my own struggles of really finding my place when we moved to Wilkesboro, North Carolina. I was in like the third grade. I had already moved from New York to Texas and then now in North Carolina. So, just that typical trying to figure it all out. Unfortunately, because I didn't have that strong foundation and a mom who was secure and felt good about herself, I was easily influenced and fell into drugs at an early age, even sex as well. So it changed, of course, the course of everything for me. We were evicted when I was 15, and I was pretty much out on my own from that point on, and going from place to place, dealing with what started off as just drinking and smoking into doing like Oxycontins, getting into painkillers, and then into crack, cocaine, and it spiraled from there. But I love God, because even though I didn't really grow up in church, he still showed up for me. He always met me where I'm at. And he ended up pushing me in a place called the Holy Way, where it really turned my life around. I was saved, completely stopped drugs for a while, But even after that journey, I still kind of fell after I got back into the wrong crowd because that tends to happen for a lot of people when you're in that world. And it ended up being at a point where I moved. I moved to Morganton, North Carolina. At that time, my mom finally got established in her own life, and I came back. And then I got a little while after I got pregnant with my first son. So at the age of 20, just going on 21, I became a mom, and that really turned things around for me. He gave me this purpose that just shifted everything that I didn't realize that kind of love existed. And it was that starting point for me to really turn things around and better myself. But even in the midst of that, when you're kind of young, you think you know it all. You're really working to discover yourself. So even then, I made my mistakes of attracting toxic relationships and, really having those insecurities that bled into things, and just trying to find myself. I got lost as being a mom in that role, burnt out, and really didn't know who I was. And it wasn't until I met a life coach that really things turned. I learned so much about the power of self care, self love, self acceptance. And the more and more I became my authentic self and just allowed myself to just live and try new things, I really started feeling true and ended up attracting my soulmate who adopted my firstborn. We had gotten married, had two more beautiful children together. We have a beautiful life we've created. And I fell in love so much with the strategies and just the whole mindset shift that I ended up deciding to become certified myself in helping moms, because I feel like that's where it also starts, is as we role model as moms. Like, that's a very important part of the process of how our kids turn out, because Lord knows my programming was a little shot from how I grew up, which is why my behaviors led me down the path that it did. So I just really want to empower moms to know that they matter too, and that if we can role model that self-care, that self-love, it would really transform the way our kids turn out.
Yeah, that because you said there that what kind of started you down the wrong path was your own lack of self-image, right? It was that sort of struggle as a teenager. Can you kind of like I'm not sure what age that was, but can you kind of talk about how that like what you do now, right? If you kind of think kind of backwards and project backwards, had somebody kind of helped you at that age, the younger you, right, build that self confidence, self esteem? Do you think that would have been enough? Is that what would that have been enough to keep you out of that crowd and all?
I do believe so, because I feel like that's the missing piece for so many. There's so much pressure as a teenager to figure out what are you going to do with your life, and trying to get through the schoolwork, and having to really figure yourself out. And we want all the answers, but we don't have it all. Some of us think we have all the answers, and we don't. And it's a very crucial point in our lives where there's just so much pressure in society in this world, and from our parents, and all sorts of things. So if you have somebody there who can uplift you and teach you about self, confidence and self-love, yes, when you're secure in who you are, you're going to be a lot less likely to be influenced to do the bad things. And this is why I think this kind of work is so amazing that you do, Chuck, and that I do for moms, because I feel like, again, it starts with us. Like, you don't have really control over others or situations, but you do over your children, and you do over yourself. And it is important for us to be open to that support and that help, because we need that ongoing uplifting motivation, guidance, someone to talk to, some outsider's perspective to really help us be the best versions of ourselves. And there's no shame in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree, and that's part of what the years I spent in public education working with kids who were on the fringe of stuff. There was a lot of commonalities, even though their backgrounds were very different. But the commonalities were low self-esteem, low confidence, a lot of limiting beliefs about what they were capable of. They had a fixed mindset, or what I often refer to as a mindset of defeatism. And when you have that, anybody who Um, yeah, you're easily led. Anybody who's beginning to maybe show a little interest in you, even if it might be wrong interest, as far as like trying to lead you down that borrow something from Star Wars, right? Down the dark path, right? But
Yes.
that's so much of really what it is, right? I mean,
Mhm.
so you also brought up something else that I've heard from a few of my guests too, was faith issue and how that played in, because you had mentioned something you related to your faith. So can you talk a little more in depth about how that helped you begin to turn the corner or to make changes in your life?
Yeah, well, the way I look at it is, God, we have to believe in something, especially in ourselves. And I did not grow up in church. I just didn't grow up in that. And I've never been a big fan of religion per se. I've had my experience with churches, and I'm not in any way dissing that because for some people, it's a wonderful way to get the message and to have that community, and absolutely. But overall, regardless of that, God has always been there for me. I have still known who He is. I've still learned in my ways. And I know when I first went to the Holy Way, one of the biggest ways I started learning was Veggie Tales. And I mean, just learning the message and learning about that, but really seeing how he always showed up in ways when I needed it, when I asked for help, when I was like, if you really do exist, like, I need this, I need help. And then bam, things would happen. And so I find there's a power in believing in something, because we are all connected. And some people like to call it the universe, whatever you want to call it. But I do believe that having a relationship with like yourself, for me, it's God and myself, really gives you that grounding of something to turn to in times of struggle, something to keep pressing forward because you have to have faith. Life is unpredictable. There's so much uncertainty, which is what limits so many of us because we look at the reality of where we are right now, but we don't see all the amazing blessings that is already waiting for us. And until you shift your mindset to open yourself to receive what you deserve and the blessings that you deserve, and it doesn't matter if it's right there in front of your face, anyways, you won't see it. You'll block it, you'll push it away, you'll miss those opportunities. And this is where being really grounded in who you are and finding your way with those beliefs or whatever it is, whether it be God or the universe, spiritual, it's just really important because it gives you that foundation to really learn more about yourself.
Yeah, going. Uh, I just did another interview just the other
Yeah.
day, and the same topic came up about faith and all, and that person had been raised in a Christian church, so he had that as a background. But I say people, you can't not have faith in something. If you don't have faith in anything, you're destined for a really tragic and difficult life. Having faith in yourself, having faith in your family, having faith in a higher power, having you need to have faith in something because it's with that kind of hope comes from too. And it's personally, I think it's when you can develop that faith in something bigger than mankind, bigger than us as humans, is where you really can tap into some power for transformation, for getting through those challenging times.
Absolutely.
It's actually one piece that I try to encourage people to really investigate what they do have faith in. What is it, and try to really kind of fine tune that, and um, make sure they're congruent in that faith as well. You also had mentioned the word blessings in your answer, and one of the things, and I'd like you to speak to it, is this idea of gratitude and counting those blessings, and how important that is. Did you have you done that as part of your own personal work and growth, and like how did you finally, was it through the life coach you met where you begin to kind of step back and do that? What was the triggering for you to kind of begin to count those blessings and look at them, and the shift that happens?
Yeah, and I do give credit to, life coaching because that was such an important process. Even me, when I went through my certification, learning was the power of gratitude. Because, okay, I'll give you a little example. Just being a mom, I have 3 kids, 3 dogs. I have a job. I work from home. It was like, and I grew up with a mom who was like always has to be clean, 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 clean. So even though I try to resist that, unfortunately that got into me. I had this thing where I wanted everything to always be clean. So every day I'm constantly stressed because I would clean and 5 minutes later it looked like I didn't do anything. And I would allow that to like really, really bog me down. So when I started doing these exercises for gratitude and realized that I needed to start changing the way I spoke and the way I saw things, and I realized, like, I get to clean my house. I get to clean after these beautiful children that I carried and gave birth to. Like, I get to have a house with dogs that I want. I grew up in apartments my whole life, struggling. And I used to always say, like, when I have kids, I'm not raising them in no apartments. Like, I want to have a house. And before I was 30, I bought my first house. So it's like, I started shifting and realizing what I already had. And that's what the power of that gratitude. So if anyone here is listening, I highly recommend starting a gratitude journal where just each and every day you just write 4 to 5 things that you're grateful for right now. And even if there's things that you aspire to have, still say you're grateful for it now as though it already exists, because it does. You just haven't gotten there yet. That's all. But yes, that was such a powerful tool and strategy that really helped me to start realizing just how wonderful I had it, how many blessings that I had, that I am lucky to have the family that I have, to have the life that I have. So, and you know what? The mess will get cleaned when it gets clean. I started stopping myself from feeling like it had to be done right now or always be clean. It's like, no, we're busy. We have a lot going on. And one of these days, I'm going to miss the mess. So instead, I wanted to just embrace that and see things differently. And that changed everything for me. So it is a truly powerful method and way to really start looking at what you already have, not only have, but what you have accomplished. We have done so much already in our lives, and we never stop to really recognize and celebrate that. We're just ready to move on to whatever's next, 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 next. I need this next instant gratification. I need this to happen for me now, now, now. But it's like, stop, pause, and take a moment. You're alive, which means you get another chance to do something in this world. You get another chance to to reach that goal, or to take one small step towards something that you love, or even just to take a moment for yourself. That's such a blessing in itself that we take it for granted. So many of us.
Yeah, it's such a simple thing, but it has such I use the word profound a lot, but it is the most apt word for a lot of these things that we discuss around coaching and mindset transformation. All these little simple things that can have such profound impact on people. The gratitude, but you also mentioned another thing, which is journaling and actually writing it down. Getting things written down can be incredibly powerful. It doesn't need to. You don't need to be writing a book every night, right? Just like you said, a few things that you're grateful for, and even like if you had a rough day and some of the negative emotions, in a journal, asking yourself some different questions can have an incredible impact on shifting your perspective, which I think is just what you were kind of referring to there, is that kind of reframing of things. Um, when did you like got the impression that journaling was something that you developed as part of your kind of growth personally as well? When did you kind of begin that practice, and is that something, I'm assuming that's something you're recommending for your clients and
Oh,
things?
yeah. Of course. So I honestly, I actually was journaling since I was a young girl, and I highly recommend that if you have kids to get them to do that, because like you're right, when you get to writing that stuff, even though in the beginning you're like kind of venting and letting it out, first of all, it's really important to get it out. Don't let it sit inside of you. But at the same time, you're right. As you start writing, it just shifts, and you start talking about how, like, you know what, I'm going to rise above this, or I'm going to get through this and I'll be fine. And it almost feels like this, literally a sense of relief. So highly always recommend journaling. And for those of you, because I also like, sometimes if you get older, if you're really busy and you don't have time to sit there always and write for a lot, but you have so much inside of you, get your cell phone out, get your video recorder out, and press record and just talk it out. I have a great video journal that I keep on times that I'm out and about and I don't have time to write, but it's like I might have an idea, or maybe I'm just going through something and I know that, okay, I need to get this out now. It is another fantastic way to really journal and get your thoughts on something. And you can always get the transcript from it too, as well. So definitely always don't let any of those ideas, because, we love using the whole busy, I don't have time, those excuses that keeps us back. Those are those powerful limiting beliefs that really keep people from succeeding and thriving and really accomplishing all that they are more than capable of accomplishing.
Yeah, you just threw out that one of the words that can be time. That can be such a hard thing for people, especially you're dealing with parents, with kids, and dealing with moms, and it can be easy to feel like your cup is just like it's overflowing. It's just there's too much going in it, and I often talk about doing time audits. It's one of the things I highly recommend right off the bat because the fact of the matter is we all have that same size cup. Everybody has 1,440 minutes a day, and what goes in it is going to vary. And it's not necessarily a value judgment on things, but you need to figure out what is going in it. So then you can then begin to consciously and purposefully prioritize the things in a better way. But when things just get dumped in it time wise, it clutters up our mind, and clutter of any sort is not good. So, um,
Yes,
you know,
I agree completely. And you have to think too, like when you get that awareness of what you're working on, or how you're utilizing your time, first it's going to blow your mind. Like how much we kind of wasted on things that we could be doing so much more for ourselves or for towards our dreams. But not just that, like it's all about really gaining that intentional living, because that's the problem with us. We live on autopilot. We're just like busy, 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 go, 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 do, 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 do. And we don't stop and really be intentional with what we're doing or how we're feeling or what we need in the moment. So I definitely think that's another important aspect of that, is really understanding not just where your time's going, but and what you're how you're utilizing that time, but really learning how to become intentional of your time so that you can be productive and really work to take those small steps, because I'm all about some baby steps,
yeah,
to really building upon new healthier habits for yourself so that you do achieve what you set out to do.
yeah. Well, and the habits, right?
Yeah.
That's what we are really trying to, especially the teenagers. If we can build some of these habits early. I used to tell students all the time, please try to develop these habits early because when you're my age and you're trying to build them, it's so much harder. So trust me on this, right? Let's try to,
Yes.
get these habits kind of built. Um, it's that's one of those kind of shifts too that people um, it's the challenging part, right? It's some of those blocks that people have around their routines and trying to change. So can you talk a little bit about when you are working with parents, when you're working with these families, and we've got these some of these habits that we want to build. Um, what what is it that how do you go about trying to do that? Because we all know, right? We set New Year's resolutions and then we don't follow through. So how do you go about trying to help people with kind of get handle of their time, trying to get handle of the stress that they're feeling?
So again, like I was saying a little bit earlier, my motto is baby steps, because that's the problem, especially as moms and as parents, we tend to want to do it all. Like we feel like we have to take it all on, we have to do it all, and no, that's not the way it is. And if you want to change something, first of all, like you say, if you've been doing it for so long, you're not going to do this new thing in a week and then, okay, you're good. You change completely. And this is one of the reasons why nobody really sticks with that consistency with it, because they overwhelm themselves with having to feel like they have to jump into this huge new way of living all at once. And so I believe in baby steps. I believe that what we do is, instead of putting that fear in our subconscious mind, and what we need to do is just slowly implement little like habit stackers, like
Yeah.
something small, like, okay, even if it's taking, 5 minutes in the morning, all of a sudden to meditate, or even 90 seconds to meditate, and then take 5 minutes to stretch or do something for yourself, and just do that one thing, and then build upon it. Once you start realizing, okay, this is becoming something awesome, I love, new, then do something, add a little extra something else, and just keep building upon that to build those. And I do agree completely with you as well when you mentioned about how starting young is so important, because that is the one thing I love with moms, because not only are we the role models for our children because they watch what we do,
Hmm.
so we got to really show them what it means. But this is where delegation is so important, and teaching your kids how to clean up after themselves, be independent, even as like toddlers. My little 3 and 5 year olds right now, they put away their own plates. They clean up their own trash. They clean up I mean, they don't completely clean up their rooms like I'd like to, but I'm already starting to teach them that process of like, hey, pick this up, put this away. And my 16-year-old son, he cleans his own bathroom, he does his own laundry, he washes dishes. I taught him that since he was younger, because I want him to understand that when you're an adult, you're going to have to do this stuff. These are life skills you need. You do not need to depend on someone to do this for you. So if you just go ahead and get started now, it's going to be like second nature to you. You'll know how to take care of yourself. You'll know how to do your own laundry. And it's just, you'll build upon that, because, they're going to be adults someday. And it's part of us to really help them and prepare them for that in the real world. And that's why also communicating with them, being honest about stuff. I mean, my son knows about my drug history. I talk to him about drugs. We talk about sex. We have these conversations because I want him to be prepared and learn about it, first of all, from me. I don't want the wrong people teaching him how he should look about, or how he should be in the world. I want him to think for himself. I want him to do his own research. I want him to have his own opinions. I want him to really understand how capable he truly is. So yeah, I just highly recommend that. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just take it one small step at a time. Think of one little new habit you want to build, and then just work towards it. Don't, even if it's a couple times a week, that's all you feel like you have to give, just do it. Do it messy, let it be, but just keep doing something, and have grace and compassion with yourself. Even if you sometimes slip and, kind of go backpedal a little bit, it happens. We're humans, and life's so unpredictable. But it's about just catching yourself, being aware. All right, I didn't do my practice today, but that's okay. I have tomorrow. Or maybe, hey, you know what? I'll just take a few moments now and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The classic book now, Atomic Habits, we talk about stacking, right? Little steps, and you stack them, and that's how you can really create some of these habits. The other thing and with a family, why I really try to get the entire family to go through it. So if when parents come to me wanting to work with their teen, like, okay, but we really need you to kind of go through this with them. One, it's going to help you. You're going to benefit. Two, you help model it. This accountability aspect to each other. The more people, it's the power of synergy, right? The more people you can have go through it, the more likely it is to get through that long period of time that actually takes to build a habit. But like you said, when you stack them, and it's one little baby step at a time, and the results can they'll speak for themselves.
Absolutely.
You had also at, I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit, because in one of your previous answers there was a couple things that you had brought up, and um, there was two different directions I wanted to go at the same time. You couldn't do it at the same time, but when we were and it's kind of connected to this habit piece too. But you had kind of indicated this idea of, you sometimes we can't do it all, right? So we got to be able to step back and take a breather. And I just finished reading a book, The Comfort Crisis, and within that book, there was one little section in that, and I kind of had an aha moment. Um, it was about the importance and value of boredom, meaning letting your mind just kind of just go, just kind of wander, stepping away from things and just not not grabbing our phones, not grabbing any of that, but just being. And there's rest within that, and your brain, it needs to kind of like it needs to wander. It needs to be able to do that. And the aha moment I had, and this is where I want you to kind of get your opinion on this, was it's the old notion of the Sabbath, a day of rest, where we, it from the religious standpoint, from the Christian religious standpoint, it was to get closer to God and the whole spiritual side. But beyond that, it seems like just a day where you know you're just gonna take care of yourself. You're gonna rest, or maybe just do family things. You're gonna take a break from the chaos of of life and just kind of get a breather, catch your breath. And I think I got an understanding of the importance of that old cultural institution in a whole new light now. And it's like, oh boy, do I think we lost something. I mean, I can remember as a kid, I'm old enough now that growing up in Maine, people didn't do things on Sundays. Stores were closed on Sundays unless it was the local mom and pop shop. Uh, that was the Sabbath thing, but that was a day where people were supposed to do family things, and I think we've lost that. Do you want to speak? Do you have an
Yes.
opinion on that?
Oh yeah, no, I highly agree with that because I think it's important no matter who you are, where you're at, like find that time for yourself. Like I have when I started my business, I at first felt like I had to do all the things and I was overwhelming myself. I got burnt out really fast because I was sacrificing my family time in order to feel like I had to do that to be successful. And I had to really sit with myself and take that time to realize, well, Mary, is this really why I'm doing this? Isn't the whole reason I'm doing this is to give me and my family a better life, to have more time with my family? So is this really aligned with who I am and how I want to run a business? So even with something like that, I was able to, like you say, take that pause, just take a break and really evaluate, like, how do I want to run a business? How do I want to live my life? How do I want to be remembered and to build upon? So when I realized that, I was like, no, my family comes first. And so I decided to have, like, we're in the evenings and weekends, I'm not on my phone. I'm not doing business. It's strictly for family. So, it's so important that you take that rest because instead of being like human doing, you're being a human being. We are beings. And when you are able to really be with yourself, that is where the answers come. That is where the clarity comes. So many people, like you say, we stay on our phones, we're scrolling, we're wanting to keep ourselves from being with ourselves, right? And it's funny because COVID during the pandemic, that was actually one of the more positive aspects of that, was that a lot of people were forced to have to be with themselves, to have to be bored and not be able to go to work or not be able to do something, be with family. And I think it actually helped open a lot of people's eyes to the gratitude, the amazingness of, like, just not having anything to do, to really have that time with family that we don't get, because it is always work, 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 busy, busy, busy. So if you're someone who's not taking that time, or I mean, and hey, time block it if you have to. I mean, I know people that I suggest to, they struggle with remembering to actually practice self care. All right, that's what you got a calendar for then. If you're so into having an organized day, then block out a time where you're like, I'm doing nothing. This is my time. And when shut everything down, put the phone away, spend that time with your family. If that's what you need, but find what works for you and definitely work on getting in tune with yourself. Because when you get connected, I mean, that's why meditation is such a powerful tool. Because when you truly allow yourself to get connected to the true source, to that divine part of you, and get access to that divine universe, you really will gain so much clarity, so much confidence, so much direction of what your next step is. And you also get that part of you that just feels like seen, feels heard, and just feels good. And isn't that what we're all striving for? So definitely, I agree with you. I wish we were in a place like, for me, I don't work Sundays. Sundays actually is one of my lazy days. I love that. So if you're not doing that, I definitely highly recommend, if you can find a way to do that, to yeah, make that time.
Yeah, and a piece of that too that I've come to really understand is also trying to do things outdoors, right? Getting out into nature and the incredible impact that has. And to this day, my kids and I, we love to go camping as a family where we can get out in the woods and all. And trying to do that on a regular basis. And this is where that taking a day where you can do things like that is just it has so many benefits on so many levels. Uh, but it again comes to our awareness, our learning, making it a priority, understanding, what it does. And once you begin to feel it, there, there's really no going back because you know, wow, that, I feel good about that. Um,
Exactly.
Another thing you just brought up too in here that I want to address, because dealing with families in the modern world here, you mentioned the phones. So, and, it's becoming a pretty big issue in public school settings about, you know, do we allow kids to have phones in the school? There's another book I recommend and have read is The Anxiety Generation by John Haidt. And he's done a whole lot of research on social media, phone use, and mental health, particularly for teenagers. Do you address that with parents? And and that can be a that can be a challenging conversation because we've come to rely on them, particularly like in our coaching business. I mean, there's so much that we we need the phones for,
Yeah,
but being able to, you know, to model it like you said, and uh, can you talk a little bit about those conversations you might have with families
yeah.
regarding that?
Yeah, so I mean, and it is. It's not. Trust me, it's not easy. I know that, when I first did my at-home job and I had toddlers going around, it was easy to have the TV on and have them distracted on their tablets and stuff. So I had to really get to the place where I realized, okay, Mayor, there's a balance. And so even with my teenager, like at night, there's a certain time, all electronics off. He brings his phone up here. He doesn't go to sleep with it. And he even, it was so cool actually the other day. I remember being like, maybe we should let you, I mean, maybe it's okay. You're getting older. We can let you have your phone. He's like, no, mom, I'd rather not have the temptation. And I was so proud. It was like such a proud mom moment because it's like, I didn't really push for that, but it's like I do believe in at least just having some structure around it, because you can't just let them have free access. I mean, it's dangerous for them. And like you were talking about earlier with the whole boredom thing, have you ever watched a toddler? Like, I love it actually. When you put away the electronics and you just watch them go, it is the coolest thing to watch, to see a kid just get to have their imaginations and go out there and, you know, play with their toys and run outside and do these awesome things. And it almost takes you back, right? Because I know growing up for me, we didn't have cell phones. So I was always out in the creeks and climbing trees and playing out till it was dark. So, we kind of grew up in a different time a little bit, because I know eventually we got video games and we started having internet and whatnot. But it is different in today's world for sure. And I don't think you should deprive per se, but I think there definitely needs to be some sort of structure and understanding and discipline around that, of understanding there's times where phones get put away or tablets get put away, and you'll be fine. They'll be fine. They'll live another day. Actually, it's so good for them because it does build creativity and it helps them not get sucked into that world so much, where there is a lot of influence. Also watch what they're, be careful of what they're having access to as well. That's the scary thing for sure, especially as teenagers. That can be very dangerous because internet's unpredictable what they could be looking up and getting access to.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's,
Yeah.
you know, when you set those ground rules early on,
Yeah.
then, yeah, the kids might say, well, Johnny's mom, that old kind of thing, right? But they get it. I've had 4 kids of my own. They're young adults now, but they didn't push back too hard. They understood what we were doing, and you set those boundaries early on. If you don't set them early on, then you try to take it away, then it becomes a lot lot more
Yes,
challenging.
it does. Hmm.
But that's some of those parenting things. I'm assuming that some of the things that I've been amazed at the number of parents who just haven't either thought of it, and I'm well educated too, so who it's such simple things, but they haven't done them. They haven't taught them. They you know um, parenting can be hard, and sometimes I think they get overwhelmed in the work, and they get caught up in their careers and all kinds of different factors. I'm assuming that's part of what you see too. It's
Yes, but at the same time, like the way I always look at it and how I always question it is like, well, how bad do you want change for yourself? Like, how bad do you want what you want? Like, do you want to keep having these feelings, this stress, this anxiety, this life, or this rebellious teen, or whatever the situation is, or do you want change? Because if you want a different outcome, then you're going to have to make changes. It's just part of you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to do things that you weren't willing to do before and face that and be real with yourself, but also be kind to yourself. I mean, no one's perfect. We're not meant to be, thank God. That's a lot of pressure. But if you can just really work on really asking yourself, what do you want? How do you want your life to look like? How do you want your kids' life to look like? Because if you can think of what would happen with no action, like if you didn't change anything at all right now, what that could look like how does that make you feel? Because if it's like not good, then that means that's a sign that you need to implement these things. You need to make changes. And kids are resilient. I mean, that's part of what we teach them, right? They see how we face challenges, and that's only good. That's good for them. That shows them skill sets for themselves to overcome. Setting the boundaries teaches them that they get to set boundaries for themselves. They get to say no. That's so important for them. So I think the problem is as moms or as parents, we feel guilty. Like we just want to make our kids happy, happy, happy and give them everything. But it's like, no, that's not good for them either because that's not how life works. That's not how the real world works. And if you do that, then you're setting them up to fail. And then if they don't understand how to handle failure, then they're just going to fall. So it's really important that we change the way we see these things and understand that this, like I've always told my son, none of this is a punishment. It's literally here to strengthen you and make you prepared to go out there and live your life to the fullest. It's what I want, but I want them to do it with that grounding and that confidence that, first of all, that they're capable of doing whatever they want and that, you know, they are also capable of taking care of themselves and taking care of others because that's just a crucial part of this. And when you just allow them to have freedom to do whatever they want, trust me, as someone who had a mom like that, I'm telling you that does not lead to good things. My mom wanted to be my friend. Love her to death. We have a wonderful relationship. I know she did the best she could, but she never parent me. She didn't role model and she didn't parent me. And so therefore, because of that, like you say, when you kind of try to discipline me, it was like, no, it's too late. You've already let me get away with this for so long. I'm going to do whatever I want to. And I was a horrible teen. I was rude. I was rebellious. I did what I wanted. And it was because I didn't have that structure from the get go. I didn't have those ground. I didn't have those boundaries. And like again, don't try to be your kids' friends. We're not there. I mean, I love having a close relationship, but at the end of the day, I'm your mom,
Yeah.
and what mom says goes. You need to respect when you're under our roof, our rules, and follow that. And like I said, it's a great, great lesson to teach your kids, and it's good for you because, like you say, you don't have that rebellion
Yeah.
that I see with a lot of people.
Yeah, it's because you're a parent, it's a different relationship. Doesn't mean it can't be a close relationship, but it's a
Yeah.
different relationship. So, I agree with you. When I hear parents refer to their kids as the best friend kind of thing, I, I kind of get like, I that's. I don't know that that's such a good thing. Having a close relationship's wonderful, but it's a different relationship than a friendship relationship. Um, it's subtle words, but words have meaning. It's important to kind of to recognize that and understand that. We are kind of coming up near the end of our time. Just kind of a last message. If there's something that you would really love to leave with the parents out there, um, what would it be? What would be that final message that you want to kind of leave them with?
Just do it. Do what you need to do for yourself. Understand that you matter too. And the more you show up for yourself and make sure that your cup is full with what lights you up, the more you can give back. You can't pour from an empty cup. Don't feel like you have to do it all. Don't feel like you have to bend over backwards. There's simple, get back to the basics. There's simple things that you can start doing now to improve your relationships, not just with yourself, but with your kids, your spouse, that will only amplify your life and allow you to really receive the abundance you're meant to have. So yeah, just do it. Do what it takes. Get the help, get the support. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself, whatever it takes, because that is strength, and that is really what's going to lead you to down the right path of understanding and knowing and educating yourself with what you need so that you can face whatever comes your way.
Yeah, thank you for that. And people can find it's Mary Dibble
Yes.
com. Is that or
It's marydibblecoaching.com. If you want to find out more about my podcast, free resources, I have a busy mom roadmap to clarity and confidence there. That's a great starting point. Like it even has that time audit in there. But yeah, just come connect with me. I always offer a free call too, just to get to know each other and help you uncover your challenges and really figure out what your next steps are. But I do love meeting new people all the time. So definitely come check me out, marydibblecoaching.com.
fabulous? And for all of you out there, as always, I encourage you to investigate, different coaching, other type of help. Oftentimes we get stuck in our own level of our challenge, and we kind of have blinders on, and you really need somebody who can come at it from a different perspective to really help you make those mindset shifts and the adjustments. So, that's one of the reasons why I've begun offering any of you who are listening my strategy sessions for free. This is something that, as a strategy session, I typically charge for that, but because you guys are watching this show, I would waive that. And the only way you can get that for free is you reach out to me at coachchuck360.com, coachchuck360.com, go to the contact me section, send me a text with your first and last name, best email address, and just say podcast gift. And I will send you a unique link just, so you can avoid the payment. And in this strategy session, this is kind of what we do. Spend a half hour, and my job in that time is to try to find out some of these beliefs, some of these unresolved negative emotions, some of the things that might be placing a glass ceiling on you, on your team, so that I can give you a roadmap. I can give you some suggestions. I can give you resources to, like, these are my recommendations, right? This is what we can do. And you can take those and do what you want with them, or you might even say, yeah, can you help me with these things, and we can talk about the programs that I offer. So once again, that's coachchuck360.com. But your mindset is probably about the most important investment you can make in yourself and your team, because your mindset's going to it's going to drive everything: your academic success, your career success, your health, your fitness. All of it is can be linked right back to your mindset. So go out there, live life to the fullest, find your joy, and until the next show, live life to its fullest.